All right, good evening and welcome to IMaH here on Metropolitan Television. IMaH is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, Guel PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, and Meridian Port Services, MPS, as well as Phoenix Insurance. The show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority-GPHA, and our media partner on this journey of a lifetime is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. Now, if you want to have a grasp of all that transpired on the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happened here on the show. Tonight, we are streaming live on our social media pages as usual. On Facebook, we are live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Still on Facebook, we are live at Port of Tema, and on YouTube, we are streaming live at IMaH. Now, we're going to be getting interactive with you, so all you have to do is sit back, relax, grab your phones, and send us your messages and comments via our dedicated WhatsApp line, which is 0538-037353. 0538-037353. Now, when the time is ripe and I pick signals from the production team, which will activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kennedy Mona. We are going for a quick break. When we return, we will continue the discussion. Please stay with us.
Good energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP. Available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP, Wufilia, huh? Wubefeel. Goil, good energy. Yeah, yeah.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302 246 319 or 0243 690 492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
All right, welcome back. It's now time for us to take a look at happenings in the port and shipping industry by way of news.
Freight forwarders operating at the port of Tema have expressed confidence in the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority-GPHA, Meridian Port Services MPS, and other key public sector agencies involved in the cargo clearance chain to swiftly resolve recent challenges related to scanning procedures and cargo evacuation. This sentiment was shared during a business forum organized by the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, GIF, which brought together major port stakeholders, including GPHA, MPS, Ghana Customs, and the Food and Drugs Authority, FDA. The engagement provided an open platform for dialogue on improving efficiency in cargo clearance processes. Freight forwarders acknowledged the proactive steps already being taken by GPHA and MPS to streamline port operations and enhance trade facilitation. They commended the commitment of these institutions to engaging stakeholders and implementing solutions that will further reduce delays in cargo scanning and evacuation.
Today we've had clarity. Mr. David Zongotu, Mr. Oria, and of course, Madam Lydia explained the issues and the measures they've taken to ensure that these container transfers are a thing of the past. We are very confident, of course, in terms of what they've told us today. And we hope that all the issues that we have raised and the concerns, of course, from members, especially when we had an open forum where members posted certain questions, they've taken those in stride, and we are sure that they will be up to the task. Again, there were issues of concerns of equipment. We are hoping that GPHA will be able to raise their game in terms of equipment. It is critical. Of course, Mr. David Songotu spoke about how he's put certain logistical plan in place in terms of how to get trucks, third-party trucks, into a form of contract so they deliver. I think there is hope from what I heard.
Fortunately for us, MPS was here. They have spoken about the issues confronted with the scan issues. Gapoa too was here. They have spoken about the evacuation issue, which has been an endemic for us as freight forwarders. I mean, at the point we have engaged everybody and they seem not to have solutions about it. But assurance that they have given us, we can only pray and hope for the better.
GPHA assured industry players of its continued collaboration with MPS and regulatory agencies to ensure a seamless cargo handling experience. Officials from MPS reaffirmed their dedication to world-class terminal operations, highlighting ongoing efforts to enhance efficiency at Terminal 3 and strengthen coordination with customs for expedited cargo processing.
It started 28 October. And when something happened, there are certain technical implications. And that is, we must find solutions. And these are the solutions we are finding. And we are showing you, moving forward, this would be resolved. And that is why we are trying to tell you how we have met our counterparts, MPS, and the agreement we all had. And we are moving forward. You agree with me for some time now. At least, MPS has opened up to us. We have opened up to MPS. We have understood one another, and we are gone. We have understood to go to a particular road, and we are doing it. So, my brother, the operational matters, I agree with you. But this is what would lead us to efficiency. We are just assuring you that calm your nerves. We are going to do it.
On behalf of the management and the staff of MPS, we say thank you very much, and we will still require your input, your criticisms, and everything that you want to share with us to make our place a better place. Our main focus is to serve you. I'll say we may not have all the solutions, but sometimes these inputs that we get from you, we work at it so that at the end of the day, you're able to put in measures or solutions that would make your job better and easier.
At the end of the forum, all parties agreed on the need for continuous stakeholder engagement to sustain the gains made in port efficiency. Freight forwarders expressed optimism that the collaborative approach by GPHA, MPS, and regulatory bodies would lead to even greater improvements in cargo clearance, reinforcing Ghana's position as a competitive trade hub in the sub-region. They also reiterated their dissatisfaction with shipping line practices in the country, revealing that a lawsuit is in motion to address the matter.
The Staff Association of the Tema Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority has donated essential food items and cash to the Teshi Children's Home. The donation, which was done on Monday, February 17, 2025, included detergents, toiletries, Milo, cartons of frozen fish, bags of rice, packs of soft drink, bottled water, and a cash donation of 5,000 Ghana cedis. The support is aimed at helping meet the needs of the 27 children at the home who range in the age from 3 to 22. Speaking to Iron Port on the selection of the Teshi Children's Home for this year's Corporate Social Responsibility, the chairman of the Customs Staff Association Senior Revenue Officer, Michael Inkansa Ochre, emphasized that giving back to the society has always been a core mandate of the association.
A word of encouragement is that they should keep it up, because they may think that maybe they're doing something little, but we all go around, we see these things, and with what they do, they are also ridding our society of hooligans and misfits, because they are inculcating to them a certain lifestyle which will be very meaningful. As you earlier on heard from the manager, he was saying that some have become graduates working in banks, some too are pastors, and so we believe that their impact that they are making on society, they may think is small, but it's going a very, very, very long way.
The administrator of the Teshi Children's Home, Moses Lamte, who received the donation on behalf of the home, expressed his gratitude to the association for their generous support in improving the living conditions of the children. He revealed that some of the children have grown and successfully transitioned into various institutions, including nursing, pastoral ministry, and other professional fields. He also appealed to other philanthropists to extend their support to the home to ensure the continued well-being of the children.
If you are out there and you have seen what they have done, you can also, do same, because there's much blessing in this. These children, it is not their fault, but circumstances have led them get to where they are. So it is you and I, we have to make sure we put them at where they are supposed to be. So I'm grateful for what they have done. And you out there, you can also do same by putting smiles on their faces.
During the celebration of Valentine's Day earlier in the month of February 2025, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority at the Port of Takoradi reinforced its commitment to corporate social responsibility with 2 significant donations aimed at supporting vulnerable communities. GPHA presented essential items to Father Home Care Ministries Children's Home in Takoradi. The donation, handed over by management, is expected to help meet the daily and educational needs of the children.
We feel that we have a moral obligation to help the less privileged in the society. So as you find us here, together with the HR manager and the marketing and public affairs manager, we are here to do this donation on behalf of the entire port community.
A caretaker from the home expressed deep gratitude, noting that the contribution would greatly enhance the facility's ability to care for and nurture its students.
One silver collection, every year be our year, in our fee, what of father so care ministries more from Eduma, or bear dominion me. Yankopon could insure one, Namima when Edmond Codro. Well, I feel be only one hour was in him. On
the same day, GPHA extended its outreach to Twin Cities Special School in Secondary Takoradi, highlighting the organization's dedication to inclusivity and community solidarity, and emphasizing the importance of supporting individuals with special needs.
We are presenting these items to Twin City in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Thank you.
Amen. The gift, a collection of essential supplies and foodstuff, was received with appreciation by representatives of the school community.
The acting chief executive officer of the National Petroleum Authority, Gordon Edugitamaklo, has commended GOL PLC for implementing robust safety measures at its LPG bottling plant in Tema. During a working visit to the facility on Thursday, February 20, 2025, Gordon Tamaklo and his management familiarized themselves with the plant's operations, which aligns with the national cylinder recirculation model. He praised the facility's state-of-the-art firefighting system, which includes a 1 million litre capacity water tank capable of sustaining fire suppression efforts for 2 hours before requiring external assistance from the Ghana National Fire Service.
With a little tour, the fact of the pumping machine that you have, the fact that you're able to deploy your water, fire processes for 2 hours on your own, that's impressive. And I can only say keep on with what you're doing.
He assured GOL PLC of the NPA's unwavering support to ensure the company's smooth and efficient operations.
We would also ensure that from our end, whatever regulatory support by way of institutional support that we need to give you, we'll do that. Remember that we are championing a cylinder recirculation model, and because of that, we will need you to also invest in educating the public.
He highlighted the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition's commitment to promoting cleaner energy alternatives to reduce dependence on firewood and protect the environment. Head of Operations at GOL PLC, Engineer Dennis Ni Komiete Amui, explained the fully automated LPG bottling facility can fill up to 900 cylinders of 14.5 kilogram per day.
This facility, I must say, is a fully automated facility. Everything here is fully automated. However, you can operate it semi-automated and you can also operate it full manual. So this facility is our version of an LPG bottling plant that's capable of filling 900 bottles, 14.5 kg bottles within a day.
The head of technical and special products at GOL PLC, Joshua Dodo, disclosed the company currently operates approximately 63 exchange points across the country, adding that public response has been overwhelmingly positive.
People are getting excited about it and it's getting a very good response. I know because of the investment, the level of investment, I think this is the way to penetrate to the remotest part of the country within the shortest possible time. So it's the way to go. We have systems installed to ensure that we're giving the exact quantities we are supposed to give. In fact, the bottles will be rejected if they are not up to the program quantity. So I can assure the public that when you buy from GOL, you are assured of value for money.
The GOL PLC LPG bottling plant in Tema also houses a cylinder repair shed to ensure that all cylinders distributed to consumers meet stringent safety standards.
All right, so those were happenings in the port and shipping industry that took place in the course of last week. We're not going for the word or phrase of the day. And remember, the word or phrase of the day has been fashioned to bring you up to speed with the terminologies and jargons we use in the shipping industry. Today's word, carbon neutrality. Carbon neutrality.
In the maritime industry, carbon neutrality refers to achieving a net zero carbon footprint by balancing the amount of carbon dioxide emitted with an equivalent amount removed or offset. This involves reducing carbon dioxide emissions through energy efficiency and alternative fuels, and offsetting remaining emissions via carbon credits or sequestration projects. The goal is to ensure that shipping operations do not contribute to an increase in atmospheric carbon dioxide levels.
Safety segment for today, that's a health and safety tip, and tonight we're taking a look at wearing a safety harness. How to wear a safety harness.
Safety harness. A safety harness is a form of protective equipment designed to safeguard the user from injury or death from falling. The core item of a fall arrest system, the harness is usually fabricated from rope, braided wire cable, or synthetic webbing. It is attached securely to a stationary object directly by a locking device or indirectly via a rope, cable, webbing, or one or more locking devices. The use of safety harness is commonly required for workers in industries such as construction, logging, and mining. Safety harnesses are a great way to keep your employees safe while they work at heights. Field workers are encouraged to prioritize the wearing of safety harness on site.
All right, so we're zooming to our discussion proper tonight. Tonight, our discussion is in two folds. One, we have some guests from the International Maritime Hospital, IMaH, and indeed, the month of January every year has always been a cervical cancer awareness month, and so this year has taken place, and the International Maritime Hospital was not left out, just lined up a series of activities to mark this particular month. We're in the month of February at the moment, but they still have so much that they are doing to draw attention to cervical cancer. And so tonight we are grateful or glad to introduce you Dr. Martina Bakatexen, Medical Officer, International Maritime Hospital. Doc, good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And we also have in the studios Dr. Barbara Fenyi, Specialist Obstetrician Gynecologist, International Maritime Hospital, IMaH. Good evening, Doc, and welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for having us.
All right. So let me begin with you, Doc, and find out from you what cervical cancer is and what IMaH has been doing all this while. I mean, since last month when we started the celebration or the awareness month.
Okay, so I think a lot of noise has been made about cervical cancer. Cervical cancer is simply cancer of the cervix. And the cervix is the lower part of the womb that is found inside the vagina. Any woman who puts her finger inside her vagina will feel a hard mass. That is what is called the cervix. Yeah. And the cervical cancer is the second leading cause of female cancers that causes death. So we are making noise about this because it's the leading cause of female deaths, cancer deaths in Ghana.
Yes.
So this month, we decided to extend the cervical cancer awareness into February because February is the month of love. And we think the best love you can give a woman is to pay for her cervical cancer screening or make sure that she's screened for cervical cancer.
Right. And so what have you done? What were some of the activities you undertook?
So we launched the awareness campaign on the 14th of February in the hospital. And we invited the MP for Tema. Yes. Tema West was present at our launch. We've been able to screen a lot of women in the Tema municipality. And we are planning to embark on an outreach program to the market to raise awareness about cervical cancer.
Okay, so let me come to Dr. Bakatexen.
Yes.
Dr. Martina.
Yes.
And I found out from you how the human papillomavirus.
Yes.
Yes, that's a mouthful. How it contributes to the development of cervical cancer.
Yes. So the human papillomavirus, aka HPV, that's the virus that's with a persistent infection with this virus. Yes. It increases the risk of women getting cervical cancer. So it's a viral infection. Ideally, the body should be able to clear most of the viral infections, but certain people have certain risk factors. Those that are immunocompromised, like those that have HIV, people that have certain lifestyles like smoking, all those things puts people at a greater risk, especially when there's an HPV infection, for it to persist to cause a cervical cancer.
All right, so let's take a look at the prevalence rate in Ghana. How prevalent is it, and in terms of mortality?
So in Ghana, about 3,000 women are diagnosed with cervical cancer every year, out of which more than half die, about 1,800 per year. Wow. You might think it's a small number, but that's actually significant. Especially because cervical cancer is easily preventable. So all these deaths are preventable deaths. It's the second leading cause of cancer deaths here in Ghana, second to breast cancer.
Right. Okay, so let me come back to Dr. Fenyi and find out from you the early warning signs of cervical cancer that women should look out for.
So this is the more reason we are embarking on the campaign. Unfortunately, cervical cancer early signs are asymptomatic, meaning they don't show any signs.
Right.
Most women who are carrying the early stages of the disease will not let you know that I have cervical cancer. By the time you notice something is wrong, it may be a little too late. So some of the signs of late disease are that you may have postmenopausal bleeding. This simply means that a woman who has stopped menstruating, who is in menopause, starts seeing blood under her. That's a worrying sign, and she should visit the hospital immediately. Other signs include bleeding in between your menses. Ideally, every woman has a menstrual cycle which they are supposed to follow. If you see blood in between your menses, please visit the hospital. Another sign of cervical cancer is contact bleeding. So you either have sex, or you douche, or you put your finger there and you realize that you are bleeding. It's a sign of cervical cancer, which I have mentioned is a late sign. Some also have horrible smelling vaginal discharge. Once you have that, please come into the hospital. Again, let me state that the signs, there are really no signs of early disease. It's asymptomatic, and that's why we are here embarking on the awareness to make sure every woman gets screened for cervical cancer, because you wouldn't know if you have the early disease.
And at what age should women begin to, as it were, test for cervical cancer, or to screen for cervical cancer, and how often should they do so? In a year?
So usually when you are less than 21 years, you don't require any screening. But from 21 to 29 years, we expect every woman to come in for the test. It's assumed that usually at that age, women are sexually active. But if you're not sexually active, the test includes us passing the speculum, which may not be too friendly for those who haven't had sex. So from 21 years upwards, you're supposed to come in for the test. The tests, we have different forms of testing. In low-resource populations, we can just do the VIA, which is just coating the cervix with acetic acid. And if we notice a whitish lesion on your cervix, we'll further test you. That is cheaper and easier to do, but that's not gold standard. The gold standard includes having the pap smear, or the pap smear with the HPV test, which is known as the co-testing. If you should do the co-testing, which is doing the HPV DNA test and then the cytology test, which is the pap smear, you have to repeat the test every 5 years. If you do just the pap smear, which is also adequate, you can do it every 3 years.
Right.
So that's about it.
And how effective is the pap smear and the, what do we call it, the HPV DNA test?
It's very, very effective. A lot of people who have come in and then have been diagnosed with the HPV infection. Again, Dr. Abakatexton mentioned that HPV test is not, once you test positive, it's not a death sentence.
Right.
Most people within 6 months to 1 year are able to clear the infection. It's a viral infection. It's just like having a cold and saying that I'm going to die. You're not going to die. So if you test positive, you come in, we help you boost your immunity, and we retest you in a year. So having the pap smear is very, very effective in picking up disease. We've picked up a lot of diseases with those who came in. Again, there's been a talk about doing the self-testing.
Right.
Self-testing means you don't have to come to the hospital. You just buy the test kit and do it at home. There are advantages and disadvantages to that. One of the disadvantages to the self-testing is from a recent one we had. A patient came in and we did a pap smear for her. And when we looked down there, we realized that she had a polyp.
Right.
A polyp is just an outgrowth on the cervix. That polyp was taken out, and then we had a test on it. It turned out to be early stages cervical cancer. If you had done this test at home, you would have missed this polyp.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we encourage people to come in. At least once in your lifetime, let somebody have a look at your service and tell you it's fine.
All right, let me come to Dr. Abaka Texan and ask you some of the common, as it were, barriers that prevent women or inhibit women from coming to screen for cervical cancer.
It's largely lack of knowledge. People don't know what cervical cancer is. They don't know that they can get it, and they don't know what to do to get screened or prevent the cancer from developing. And that is why we are doing the awareness campaign to reach these people who are limited in terms of knowledge. Another barrier is cost of screening.
Right.
As compared to certain cancers like breast cancer, it's more expensive to screen for cervical cancer. You have to do a pap smear, you have to do HPV DNA test and the other tests, unlike breast screening that requires examination and certain tests. Knowing that we are offering discounts on the screening at International Maritime Hospital. And also with cost, people are unable to afford the vaccines. That also helps with the prevention of this cancer. Knowing that as well, we are also offering discounts on the vaccination at IMaH. So please come by.
Right. Okay, so let's zero in on HPV vaccination and its role in prevention of cervical cancer. And find out from who is eligible for HPV vaccine and at what age should it be administered?
It's recommended that girls between 9 and 14 receive the vaccine. It covers them for at least 10 years. After that, they can get a booster. The virus takes about 10 to 15 years to evolve into a cancer through the changes. So within that period, they are protected. After 9 to 14 years, all women can pass through to get the vaccine, unless they are above age 45.
Yes. Okay. Dr. Fenyi, let me find out from you, how effective is HPV, and that's the HPV vaccine, and is it possible that it can prevent all forms of, cervical cancer?
No, that's impossible. Currently, only 6 types of the HPV vaccine has been developed.
Right.
At International Maritime, we have the Gardasil 4, which vaccinates you against 4 types of HPV, which is the 16, 18, 6, and 11. But there are several subtypes of HPV virus that can cause cervical cancer. So yes, it does protect you, but you are still not free from screening. Once you've been vaccinated, you have a bit of protection from some of the subtypes, but not all the subtypes. So you must still continue your screening regimen.
I asked Dr. Abaka Texan about, whether there were any barriers that inhibit women from getting screening. Here again, I want to find out whether there are any misconceptions about HPV and all that. But before then, I would want to find out from you, over the years, what has been the response of women each time you embark of cervical cancer awareness? What is the response?
It's always amazing to find highly educated women who still haven't had the pap smear. I easily do surveys in my consulting room when you come in to ask whether you've had it. And a lot of women don't know about it.
Yes.
Or some know, but they think it won't be them. They would not have cervical cancer.
Yeah.
So yes, that is the misconception and the poor knowledge about cervical cancer is a major barrier to it. Yeah.
Okay, so now back to my substantive question about misconceptions.
Yeah. So in Ghana, people believe what you don't know won't kill you. But unfortunately for cervical cancer, what you don't know will kill you.
Right.
Because like I mentioned, it's asymptomatic. It doesn't give you any signs. So you may be thinking, I'm very fine, I'm okay. Next minute, you are bleeding. Or you have a horrible discharge, and then you come in and we tell you it's too late. And it's really sad when you see young women, 35 years, come in with full-blown cervical cancer. It's sad because it's highly preventable, 100% preventable.
Right. Dr. Abaka Texan, younger or adults who didn't receive, the vaccine or who were not vaccinated at the younger age, are they eligible for HPV vaccine?
Yes, they are. All women less than 45 years can receive the HPV vaccine.
Okay, so let's now take a look at the screening and treatment services that IMaH provides for cervical cancer, patients or prospective patients, so to speak.
Okay, so IMaH does almost all the screening methods available. So we do the VIA test, we do the pap smear, we do the HPV DNA as well. The only thing we don't do now is the colposcopy, but then all the treatment facilities are available, like the cone biopsy, the trachelectomy, the conization, all the treatment methods are available. And IMaH also has an oncology unit that can continue care for people who are diagnosed with CA service, the late stages.
All right, so you mentioned 30% discount. How has that impacted HPV vaccination or participation so far?
Over the past couple of weeks, you've seen more women come through. More women are taking the opportunity that has been given to them and passing through to get the vaccine and then the screening.
Is it really that expensive?
It's not that expensive, but it's a bit on the high side.
A bit on the high side?
Yes.
And 30% is quite enormous for somebody to take advantage of.
Yes. Yes.
Right. All right, so strategies IMaH is using to reach more women and increase awareness. One of it is this platform?
Yes, one of the strategies is this.
Yes.
We've been given this platform to be able to reach as many women as possible who hear about this. And not just women, men.
Right.
Please, your wife, your mother, your sisters, make sure that all women come and take advantage of this.
You didn't add the girlfriends and side chicks.
I don't want to add that one. So girlfriends and side chicks as well, yes.
All right, so are there any success stories from previous awareness campaigns that can be shared?
Yeah, so I mentioned the polyp that turned out to be early stage cervical cancer.
Yes.
Also, we've picked up a lot of HPV positive patients who we've had to increase their immune system, teach them what to eat, and then come back for retesting, and they've tested negative. So yes, we've had some success stories, yes.
Right. Okay, so what roles should families, schools, and workplaces play in encouraging cervical cancer prevention?
So families can play a role by offering these services as gifts to their loved ones. Schools and workplaces can incorporate talks and awareness programs for cervical cancer as part of their programs. And for workplaces, they can include the screening and vaccination as part of their packages for their staff.
Right.
To help break the cycle.
All right, so government, how can government come in to help and healthcare institutions to expand access to screening?
So yes, screening, maybe...
And prevention, so to speak.
Screening and prevention. Maybe if pap smears were part of the NHI package, that would help. Because a lot of the women who actually need it and can't afford would have benefited from cervical cancer screening if it was part of the package. Also, elsewhere where there's a lot of money, boys are even being vaccinated at the age of 9 years because they carry the HPV vaccine virus as well. So if that could also be part of our packages, that would help.
It does appear breast cancer is all over the place, and everybody, it takes precedence over every other, cancer in terms of women. Why is that? Why can't we make so much more noise about cervical cancer?
So the breast is easily seen. If you look at a woman, you see her breast.
Manchester.
But you will not see her cervix, will you?
Right.
So exactly. The breast, once a woman gets breast cancer, it's obvious.
Right.
Cervical cancer is like a hidden disease.
Yeah.
So we are trying to create a lot of awareness, hoping that we reach as many as possible.
Policies, interventions, which of them should be considered to make cervical cancer screening and HPV vaccination more accessible? You mentioned that if it was captured by the NHIS, that's one of it.
Yeah.
Any others?
Yeah. It could also be captured by other institutions that offer insurance services so that more women can have access to the screening and then the vaccination, so that money won't be a barrier to getting screened and preventing yourself from getting cervical cancer.
Right. Okay, so the younger women or women in general who are watching this show tonight, you're still having your cervical cancer campaign as International Maritime Hospital.
Yes.
Tell them, what should they do, on a daily basis to ensure that they get themselves checked? You mentioned at some point there was a lump somewhere, hidden somewhere.
Yeah.
And if you had not tested yourselves, the fellow sitting at home and doing the things that she's supposed to do to detect it, would not have found out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what should they be doing?
So we want to help employ the WHO strategy, which is the 90-70-90, which says that 90% of all girls by age 15 should be vaccinated.
Right.
70% of women should be screened for early cancer by age 35 and 45 years. And then 90% with those with early disease or late disease should receive appropriate treatment. So we are starting off by educating people that girls by age 15 should get the vaccine.
Right.
The vaccine has been highly subsidized at International Maritime. You can come in at any time with your daughters, with your little ones, and then get them vaccinated. And then for all women, please try and at least have the pap smear test done.
Right.
For all women. That's our cry now to the public.
Right. I can see some people have started calling the lines. We don't have that time now. You have to send a message to the WhatsApp line that is there. Now, what we've told Dr. Abaka Texan, what we've been told is that men should also check out for breast cancer, even though it's quite low on the percentage, of men that are. Is it the same thing with cervical cancer, or is it strictly women?
No, it's not the same thing. Only women have the cervix to get cervical cancer. But I'd like to add on to what Dr. Feni spoke about. As part of people's general checkup that they have every 6 months, every year, they can include the pap smear every 3 years if they are doing it without the HPV DNA testing. And then if it's with the DNA testing, every 5 years. So that they get checked and prevent cervical cancer.
Right. Okay, so your final words, Dr. Feni.
Okay, so cervical cancer, as we know, is one of the common female cancers, highly preventable if we are all interested. We can prevent cervical cancer by doing our pap smear, regular pap smear every 3 years, or the co-testing every 5 years. As many women as possible should take advantage of our discounts and get vaccinated.
Right. All right. Dr. Abaka Texan, your final words?
As you wish people happy birthday, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, use the opportunity to also send gifts. A gift could be getting someone screened, and that can help save life.
Right.
Because early detection really saves lives.
Right. Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Martina Abaka Texan, Medical Officer, International Maritime Hospital, IMaH, and indeed Dr. Barbara Feni, Specialist Obstetrician Gynecologist, International Maritime Hospital, IMaH. We thank you so much for obliging us this evening, and we're hoping that your campaign will yield the necessary dividends as far as your quest to get women to accept and indeed come for early as well as screening is concerned. We're deeply grateful to you for joining us tonight on IMPort. Wish you the best, and I'm sure we'll get to talk later. And remember, they say they have a 30% discount for you if you are coming to check for cervical cancer. So the place to be is the International Maritime Hospital in Tema, Community 3 for your cervical cancer screening. We're going for a quick break. When we return, we'll zoom into our second discussion for tonight. Please stay with us. My name is Kennedy.
Good energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP. Available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP, Wufilia, huh? Wubefeel. Goil, good energy. Ja, dia.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302-246-319 or 0243-690-492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
All right, so we are zooming to a discussion, the second discussion for tonight, and we are trying to take a look at the freight forwarding industry. And we want to see how the consignees, importers, exporters, and everyone who does business at the port can source for legitimate and legal, so to speak, freight forwarders or clearing agents to conduct their business for them in the port. And so it gives me pleasure this evening to introduce to you our guests who are in the studios already. I will be sharing their names with you pretty shortly. We are going to go for a quick video on with some consignees that we've spoken to, and once we return, I shall introduce my guests in the studios to you. Please stay with us.
Mr. Humphrey, you were telling us that you've been doing business for more than 7 years.
That's correct.
With the Port of Tema. Before we get into the nitty-gritties of your challenges, at any point do you deal with clearing agents, and what kind of business interaction do you have with clearing agents?
Yeah, you know, the way the system is, you need agent to clear your goods from the ports. So one way or the other, you interact with them. You know, when my boss came initially, I was able to get one of agents who should be clearing the thing for me. But after my own investigation, I realized that the bill that he's coming with is outrageous. So I got to know that some of the bills are not real.
How did you establish that?
I compared the invoice with others. You understand? And the charges that they came with. Compared to that, the port authorities are charging, and compared to what the agent is coming with. And I've realized that there's kind of discrepancies. So
is this you saying that during your comparison, you realize that there are some changes in the actual amounts by what the clearing agent will give
That
you?
is correct. Okay. That is correct. That is correct. So when it happens like that, I have to look for my own agent that I trust to employ permanently. So you make every document available to me.
How did you come by getting such an agent?
The agency that does the entry submission for the custom to be able to verify the document, they recommended somebody. Okay. That's I took like my own, I've taken him like my own employee, your agent to go and make a payment. Practical example, the shipping lines, MEX line, that is the one I use mostly. What I do, I go online, take the invoice and just pay them directly. Okay, so I don't need to give money to my agent. The only thing he will have access to is the proof of payment. Okay, the same apply to the duty. Car duty, I just take my phone, I log on to the portal, I do my payment. I don't go even to the banking hall to do that. So in terms of somebody taking your money, what advice I would give to some of the importers, they shouldn't give their physical cash to agents that they cannot trust, because they will be a victim of that. They should just go to their banking hall, no matter how busy you are, schedule a later time, go to the banking hall, or take your phone and go to ghana.gov, log on to the portal and make the payment. Within a second, you are done. If it doesn't go through, they will return your money back into your bank account.
And that's what you've been doing?
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
All right.
So nobody has ever run away with my money. Even as I speak, the 4 containers I'm talking about, I've already made payments in advance, because there's an advanced payment system that is already available, created by the customs, which is very commendable. Okay, you are not going to be a victim of exchange rate differential again. You make the payment. If it go up, you are lucky. If it come down, you say, had I know? So these are the system that I'm using, and it is already available at the port.
There's something we call clearing agents.
Okay.
And in the ports of Ghana, you need to work with the clearing agents and goods that you bring to the Ghana from the ports. Do you work with any of such clearing agents?
Yes. We do work with a couple of agencies. Yes, yeah. Not one agency. We've worked with my experience here, at least we've worked with 3 different agencies.
How's that experience?
Yeah.
You can maybe talk about individually, or you can talk about that collectively.
Okay. So with our experience with the various agencies, I would say so far so good. Things have been okay on the side of the agencies. Some are able to come clean. Majority of them, they do come clean with the various duty on each car or goods that are imported in. So when it comes to working with the agencies, I would say so far so good. Things have been okay, things have been good. Yeah.
There have been some cases that we've been told about some agents giving wrong invoices to unsuspecting importers like you and your company. Maybe they would took the price of maybe the duty or the OR charge or anything. Some too have been spoken about engaging in delays, making the business inefficient and all. Have you had any bad practice with clearing agents?
With bad practice with clearing agents, not one that I would specifically recall, but then most of the delays, sometimes goods going into demurrage, has to do with maybe some of the agencies demanding for their company names to be used. But as a venture, you would also want to use your company name, and it sometimes brings about 1 or 2 misunderstandings because you are not using their name, they tend to delay, which end up your goods either going to demurrage or so those are
particularly what you mean, so we have a better picture when you say using their names for what specific?
Okay, so when it comes to what we call separation, I mean when the goods are in, so they do separation, yeah. And some companies would want their names to be on the documentation. Yeah, so with their name there, some claim it will help them work faster. But in as much as it's a venture or it's a company, obviously if you want to introduce yourself to another person, you want to know the works you've been able to do. So we would want our names to also be there. And those back and forth brings about some of the delay in payment. Some of them we may issue money to them to pay. But because of those back and forth, it can result in delays and your container going into demurrage and all those stuff. Yeah.
Is that the only bad experience you've had?
On the side of agents, I would say that is what I can say for now.
So generally, it's been a smooth experience.
Oh, generally working with them, I would say that it's been a smooth experience.
All right, so those were some consignees there that IMPort spoke to, and you heard them sharing their views on their experience with as far as their experience with the clearing agents or freight forwarders is concerned. And the last one just made mention of the fact that there's always conflict when it comes to the use of names, because they want to have their own company name in the documents, and the freight forwarder also wants to use their name. So we'll be delving into these issues tonight on our second discussion. I just want to introduce us to our guests. We have Mr. Jacob Ajiman, who is the chairman of the Public Relations Committee, if it's a committee, or chairman, Public Relations, Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, GIF. Thank you so much, Mr. Ajiman, for coming. We're grateful for having you. And welcome to our podcast. And also in the studios, Mr. Abel Tojo. I hope I haven't murdered the name. Have I butchered the name? All right. Sure. Absolutely. Great. Mr. Tojo is a member of the monitoring committee at the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, Tema. And those are the 2 gentlemen we're having a discussion with tonight. So let me start with you, Mr. Ajiman, chairman of the Public Relations Committee, and find out from you if you can briefly explain, just in a few seconds, who a freight forwarder is. Your microphone, yes. Awesome, yes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. A freight forwarder, I think we live in a country where we've clamped who a freight forwarder is and who a clearing agent is. Yes. So if you clearly listen to the question that was asked, yes, you realize that it was focusing on clearing agent. Let me dare say that clearing agency is just a subset of the whole set of freight forwarding. So freight forwarding is the complete logistic chain.
Right.
And then the clearing agency is just a subset of the whole, logistics chain.
Yeah.
So if you still want me to focus on freight forwarding, I will do it. If you want me to focus on clearing agency,
and all, yeah, but you can
so
do that, yes.
the freight forwarding is
Yeah.
basically the architect of trade. The
Right.
freight forwarder is architect of trade, right from manufacturing, production to contract of sale, contract of carriage, insurance, documentation for export, through all other things till cargo or commodity gets to the final destination. That is the job of a freight forwarder. Within that process is an aspect called the clearing agency. So when the commodity gets to the final destination at the port of discharge, then the clearing agent helps the importer process through customs and other necessary agencies to get his or her commodity cleared to him. That is, in summary, that is what we see.
Mr. Tojo, what are the key responsibilities of a freight forwarder as far as international trade is concerned?
Thank you, sir. So a freight forwarder, just like my colleague just mentioned, or my chairman just mentioned, freight forwarders, we negotiate freights, we do cargo insurance, we do booking of cargo space, we have contract with the shipping lines, where we make sure that we've been able to secure your cargo to be able to get to your final destination as required. We provide shipping tracking services as well, warehousing, haulage, price negotiations, customs clearance, insurance, incident claims, a whole lot. It's a whole chain, just like my brother said. It's an end-to-end of the supply chain that we provide, all these services. So in some cases, you realize that a supplier will tell you, okay, look, I have my cargo with this manufacturer. I've negotiated payment of this particular items. Take over, let me focus on other activities I have. So the freight forwarder takes these responsibilities and ensure that the cargo is insured, goes to check the cargo, make sure they meet the supplier's specifications and everything to ensure that he also books the various, the port he has to deliver, terms, make sure that everything is on point, and then get the necessary, make sure the customer is happy. I always say that we come to work to ensure that we are solving problems for our customers. That's the basic principles we come to work.
All right, so what are the legal requirements that a freight forwarder is supposed to meet in order to enable him or her operate?
Okay, so the legal requirement is that before you start as a freight forwarder, you need to go through some educational processes and some documentations. First of all, you need to be somebody who understands the customs processes. So having this knowledge.
I believe that every importer or shipper must do what you call due diligence. Because you're going to engage in a transaction that involves money. So you need to do due diligence on whoever you are transacting with. So for us, we advised that at least get to know the location or the office of whoever you're dealing with. Now, when you get to the office, don't be afraid to question the person. Because if the person claims to be a freight forwarder or, let's say, a clearing agent in a local parlance, there are certifications that individual or that company must have. If the company do not have these certifications, please, then be careful dealing with the person. For instance, is a person a customs house agent or registered as a customs agent, or the company is a company, or do they belong to any freight forwarding association? Because before even customs register you as a clearing agent or a freight forwarder, you need to belong to any of these associations, either GIF, which we are proud members, or WACHAG, or QBAC. We have different freight forwarding associations. So we need to determine that does a person belong to any of these associations. The reason being that if there's any issue or conflict, you need to fall on the association to help resolve the issue.
Absolutely.
So if the person did not belong to any of these associations, you are putting yourself in a big mess. So know the location, know whether the person is duly registered by customs, know that the person belongs to an association. If you have at least this prima facie information, you are reasonably safe. That is what we usually advise. And we also advise even our members, especially GIF, that when we are dealing with importers, exporters, let them know your identity. Because if you come to my place, I mean, you see all my registrations in my office. That is what must be done. And then when you see these registrations, follow up and be sure that they are not fake documents.
Right.
So if you see that, okay, this is a GIF member, and they have this GIF membership number, get to the office of GIF and find out ABC claims he is a member of your association. Is it true?
Right.
Let's take some time to do these things. Sometimes
that was going to be my next question about how a company or an individual can, verify if a freight forwarder is legally registered or compliant.
Yes.
That was going to be my next
Yes.
question.
If you go to the customs division of GRA, if you go to their PMP department, that is post audit or post clearance department, sorry, PMP, they will tell you all registered companies. So if you want to deal with me, it is better you certify yourself that I am duly registered with GRA Custom Division.
Right.
I'm duly registered with GIF or any other association. I'm duly registered with GPHA, that's Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, to operate. Because these are more or less people or stakeholders you can't operate without them.
Absolutely.
So if I am not duly registered with them, you are not safe dealing with me.
Yeah.
Safeguard your interest.
Right.
When you are satisfied with all these things, then I'm sure you can go ahead and trade or do business with any freight forwarder. Additionally, you can even put in personal terms of contract with whoever you're dealing with. I am bringing you this business. These are my responsibilities. These are your responsibilities. You renege on your work. These are the implications. I renege on my part. These are the implications. You see, somebody said something in the video, if I'm allowed to address it briefly, that the agent or the company wants to use their name to do whatever.
Between
Good.
the agents and the freight
Let me
forwarders.
clarify something here.
The
In freight forwarding, there's something called consolidation. Consolidation is grouping smaller units of commodities to make a full container load. Then you ship it down to, let's say, Ghana. When it gets here, if the recipient here is not registered as a consolidator, and these are some of the things people must know.
Okay.
If the person is not registered as a consolidator, he cannot break or separate the items into the various individual names.
Right.
The item must be in that person's or that name on the bill of lading.
Right.
If the person is a consolidator, that is where customs allow him or her to send additional information to customs, breaking or separating the items according to the various names.
Absolutely.
If the person is not a consolidator, he or she cannot do that.
Right.
So then he has to effect what we call amendment. That amendment process maybe will take a longer time. So some people may not explain to you, will just tell you, oh, let me do it in my name for you, to facilitate the process.
Right.
So we need to clarify these things.
Okay.
You must ensure that if you are shipping to Ghana and it's a groupage shipment, make sure the recipient here is a consolidator. So that when it gets here, if I want my name to be used for my consignment, my name can be used. But if not, there will be a challenge and delays comes in and demurrage and charges, skyrocket. These are things we need to clarify.
Okay. Mr. Tojo, are there any industry-specific regulatory bodies that oversee the operations of freight forwarders in Ghana?
Okay, so we have, just like my brother mentioned, we have customs, we have GPHA and the associations, and then GSA, which is Ghana Shippers Authority. So nobody operates in a vacuum.
Right.
So before you even register your company, you need to get some required documents. You even register with GRA to obtain VAT certificates and all of these things. You register with SNET as well to be able to pay PAY for your staff and all of that. So all these agencies, when anybody even walks in there, says, hey, this company says they are into this, I want to verify from them, because you can use their TIN number to verify where the company is. You can also visit if somebody tells you he's a freight forwarder, you can check on this company, whether they have a website, where they are located. You can visit the associations to verify these things.
Right.
Go to policy and programming of customs divisions, head office, tell them I'm trying to transact with this company. I want to know more about them, or who do you know, and then you can get all these informations. You can go to GPHA, because every year, we have members in good standards that is being published. So when you go to the associations, when you come to Tema, for example, when you come to the Tema district, you'll be furnished with members in good standing, and you can know that, okay, this company is in good standing, and this company is not in good standing.
Okay.
And as I know as well, I know customs is gradually risk profiling all the freight forwarding companies.
Right.
So get to a certain time when you qualify, you don't qualify, you don't have a green status, you cannot operate in the environment, in our space.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I've been told by the production team that we can activate the phone lines now. For you to call in, the number is right on your screen, 0245834980, 0245834980. Tonight, we are taking a look at freight forwarders and how you can identify a legitimate freight forwarder to avoid exploitation. I mean, Mr. Ajima himself did indicate that he solves some of these problems every day. People come complaining that somebody has defrauded him, this one has taken his money, and when they investigate, they realize that no, the fellow is not actually a properly licensed or registered freight forwarder. And so you need to be on the lookout for those that are duly registered and those that have been licensed to operate as freight forwarders and clearing agents. Now, I just want to find out whether there are any common red flags that one would spot in order to be able to say, okay, this one, no, Babu, I shouldn't do business with this particular person, freight forwarder.
Ken, the most common red flag that you will see from a dubious freight forwarder is offering you extremely cheap service.
Right.
Let me put this clear. And a lot of people fall as victims. I dare say that I have even stopped making initial assessment for people when it comes to their import.
Yeah.
Unless I know you up close before I do it.
Yeah, they will come and then you give them the rates and they run away.
One bill of lading.
Yes.
That it has gone through about 5 separate clearing agents.
Right.
For estimate. Standing fund. They are benchmark values depending on the specification of the standing fund. So I give you the custom expected duty.
Okay.
And then you tell me, though, somebody says, okay,
so
I'm sorry for the
hold on with your fire. Let's go on to the phone lines and speak to Survivor who has called in. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir. Please shoot.
Please, I wanted to ask a question.
Yes.
My question is someone who doesn't have any knowledge in shipping be a freight forwarder?
Say again.
I'm asking that if I have no knowledge in shipping, is it possible for me to become a freight forwarder?
Okay, so my guest would profile a response to that. Thank you very much, Survivor. Thank you. Yes.
The Bible says, for lack of knowledge, my people perish.
Yeah.
I think it's enough answer for the caller.
Right.
I mean, it would be extremely inappropriate to get you to the industry without knowledge, because it's a very technical industry. If you look at how it even started in Ghana, it is due to these complexities and technicalities that customs decided to license people.
Yeah.
That's why they ran the custom proficiency course, so that people understand the custom procedures.
Yeah.
So please, I would advise that get knowledge. There are areas you can get knowledge from.
Yeah, there's no need to rush. If you think that this is an industry you want to venture into, go get some learning from it. So go get some education on it.
Get knowledge. Yes.
Absolutely. I think GIF, you run some programs. So
yes, we have GIF education at Tema that will educate people periodically. So come, we'll train you.
Absolutely.
We'll train you, and then we'll give you professional knowledge and understanding of the industry, so that you practice as a professional. It's very, very important.
Absolutely.
So I was talking about
people sourcing for different rates.
Because people want cheaper services, these, with all due respect, some of these charlatans will run in and offer services that is very unrealistic.
Right.
If custom duty is, let's say, a 200,000 Ghana cedis, and somebody tells you that I can clear the goods for you, custom duty inclusive, shipping line charges, terminal charges, transportation, everything inclusive, 100,000. And you are deceived, and you go there, and you later come to me, with all due respect, I will give it to you as you deserve. And then if there's a way to help you, I will do it. But you've lost that money. So the quest for too much cheaper or cheap service is the major reason why people are defrauded. So when you realize that the service provider or the clearing agent is telling you something that is too sweet to believe, please be very careful. If the person is difficult to be identified, be very careful. These are things you need to watch. If the person is difficult to communicate with, you call the person, he doesn't pick up, he calls at us, and when he feels at talking to you, how are you secured in terms of communication? These are basic things you need to find out. So
those are some of the common red flags that
yes,
you can
it's common.
use to decipher whether somebody's
cheaper service. So this, now they are common, and the issue pops up. And you realize they are not even members of any of the associations. We have dealt with a lot of cases. Because forgive, we have our constitution, and if you look at constitution section 14, we deal with where members are not conformist. We don't. If you are non-conformist, you can't stay with GIF.
Absolutely.
You'll be thrown out.
Right.
So please, we are advising the general public, if you are dealing with us, these are things you need to look out for to save you from a lot of trouble.
Right. Okay, so Mr. Toju, my next question seems to be akin to that of Survival, who called in quite now. How important is the issue of experience in, as it were, selecting a freight forwarder?
Okay, so
industry experience, so to speak.
You need to have industry experience, because if you don't have an experience, how do you know where to go to?
Absolutely.
And because each cargo has its regime, how it has to be shipped, packaging, everything, documents that are required for it. Because the standard shipping documents are bill of lading, packing list, commercial invoice, and some certificates of origin.
Mr. Tojo, hold your fire. Let's go to Ashaiman and speak to Joe, and when we return, you continue from where you left off. Thank you, sir. Hello, sir.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I really am enjoying your program.
Thank you, sir.
But I accompanied my uncle to the port, I think, about a month ago.
Right.
And there was an experience I had. I think we need clarity on it as a public.
Okay.
I noticed that where our goods were being cleared, Golden Jubilee to be precise, there was this container that part of the items were loaded, but the other part wasn't loaded. I noticed some of the importers were furious. But the Gapua man on the field was explaining to them that, look, you people, you are not consolidators. So we can't keep your items in the Gapua warehouse. In worst case scenario, they are supposed to put your work back in the container, or customs should put Caesar note on it, and then it will go back to the state warehouse.
Right.
Honestly, as a visitor, I was a bit confused, because all these items were coming from the same container. How come some are supposed to go into the container? The owner also has an interest getting his goods. So please, we need clarity in this area, so that when we want to deal with the agent, we will know who exactly and where exactly we should go. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed, Joe. We are grateful. I think that ties into the point you made earlier on, that if you're not a consolidator, there's no way you can,
Because the consolidator has access to the Golden Jubilee CFS, that's the container free station. So if the container is unstaffed and all cargo or cargoes are not cleared, those not cleared must go to the CFS.
Right.
In his case, it's a bit strange. I think, if possible, we can engage him later on to find out the details, because if the commodity is coming from the same container, it's assumed that it's consigned to one person. And if that person is a consolidator, then the goods can go to the CFS. However, if the person is not a consolidator, then those who are clearing their goods immediately will just load it onto their trucks and leave. But the rest will go back to the container, or they will take it to the state warehouse, and that's a different process altogether. So please, make sure if you are doing groupage, it is consigned to a consolidator.
Absolutely.
That is a solution to that problem.
Okay. Mr. Tojo, please, conclude with your point here.
So as I was referring to, so you require certain specifics. You need to know that, okay, so if it's a reefer and as this product meat, I require this from FD, I require this from the PPRSD or whatever it is. So you need that exposure and experience to be able to know these things. Because if you don't know, then I'm sorry, you end up going to put even a wrong cargo in a wrong container, and then you end up having a lot of claims, and loss of money.
Absolutely.
So you need to have that.
Okay.
And I will continue to encourage members and anybody to come to GIF Academy.
Right.
Because that is what we have. A lot of people are being taught about.
There's a question here. I think we'll come to that. So sorry. Yes, I understand we have David who is calling us from Tema. Good evening, sir. Hello, Dave.
Yes, good evening, my brother.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, sir. Please shoot.
What is the difference between a freight forwarder and a clearing agent?
Okay. All right. Yes, please go ahead.
What is the difference between a freight forwarder and a clearing agent?
Okay, I think my guest proffered a response to that earlier. He answered that earlier. He says a clearing agent is a subset of the entire freight forwarder things. But he's here. Mr. Jiman would walk you through in just 30 seconds.
I think he has something. Let him add up so that I can help better.
Okay. Hello, Dave. Do you still have anything more to add?
Yes, I still want to find out because, one, who is the license given to by customs? Is it a clearing agent or a freight forwarder?
Okay.
That is what I want to find, because if a licensure is given to a freight forwarder or a clearing agent.
Right. Okay. Yes.
All right. Thank you for your question. The license issued by customs is issued to the customs house agent. In other words, the clearing agent. You see, the custom processes is also a subset of the whole freight forwarding business.
Right.
So the customs cannot issue a license for the whole freight forwarding practice that they don't have control over.
Right.
So where they have a control over, that is their processes. That is where they train people and issue what you call the proficiency certificate.
Right.
So they make sure you are proficient in their language.
Okay.
Then they issue you the customs house agency certificate or license with which you operate as a customs house agent. So I don't know if that is enough for the gentleman, but basically that is what it is.
Okay. All right. So let's take this message from this person who sent it in. He says, how much do I need to acquire the requisite training to become a freight forwarder? We have barely 3 minutes or 2 minutes to go. So let me see, who will take that?
I think.
Okay,
you are talking about GIF Academy. So
when you come to GIF Academy, there are various forms of, so they have the 6 months training, the certification into freight forwarding, they have the FIATA diploma into international freight forwarding. So you learn about the customs processes and all of this. So we have the 6 months and then we have the 1 year intensive. So basically I would recommend that you start with the 6 months, which is the certification.
Yes.
Afterwards, then you get the intensive, which is the 1 year.
Right.
So roughly would say probably 1.5 years to be able to get these things. Then now you need to have the practical aspect of it by applying what you have learned from the classroom.
Okay. This one says, I recall when I started watching Iron Port, there was this debated issue of miscellaneous fees. I want to find out what miscellaneous is and if it is still being charged. Bismarck in Accra, Newtown sent in that one. The initial one, the first one that Mr. Tojo just finished responding to, I was sent in by Mark Tamaklo. I think that we would bring you some responses in the abridged version on GTV on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. because our time has run out. So we'll get some responses from Mr. Tojo and Mr. Ajima, and then we'll bring them to you. This one was was a question sent in during the first segment. Please, how much do I need to for a cervical cancer test or HPV? We'll get some responses from doctors Martina and then Barbara, and then revert to you. So also make a date and watch the abridged version on GTV Wednesday 8:30. This one says, good evening, Iron Port. Please, I want to commend Dr. Barbara at IMaH. In fact, she is one of the best gynecologists at IMaH. She did